Good day everyone. So today we are going to tackle or discuss about the developmental approach by Emmanuel Tropes. But first, let's have our learning outcomes. So at the end of the discussion, the students or the listeners will able to learn the following. A. Know how to compare the uses and advantages of developmental approach from the other social group work approaches and models. B. Learn to apply this approach to a group situation. Before we jump right into our proper discussion, let's have first our class activity. So this activity is entitled Guess the Word. So these are the mechanics of this game. So first, you have to guess the word that links the four pictures together in 1 minute. Each correct answer carries 1 point, no searching for answers online, and the game master's decisions are finals. So let's the game begin and have fun. So I guess you are done with our class activity. So now, I will give you a glimpse or an introduction of our lesson. And we hope that you listen carefully to our discussions so that you will able to answer our quiz and assignment afterwards. So since the United Nations Declaration of the 60s as the first development decade, many of our social agencies have been giving priority attention to social development concerns. These concerns include subsistence levels of living, widespread unemployment and underemployment, lack of or inadequate access to opportunities and services, and continuing gap between the rich and the poor, population growth, a large youth population, effects of urbanization, rural underdevelopment, and needs of special groups. Social welfare addressing these concerns has been known as developmental social welfare, and this has since served as the context for the establishment of a variety of development-oriented social work agency programs and services in the country. So the social workers working with groups within a developmental framework need a theory that can guide their practice. So Emmanuel Tropes' developmental approach seems to be the most relevant at this time and can be adapted to fit a variety of client situations. So this is how the approach evolved. Social work literature traced the roots of the developmental approach to Grace Coyle's writings, which underscore collective self-help as the theme of group work, emanating from the settlement house movement. It is from this, according to Troop, that the approach derived its first principle that group self-direction toward a common goal is the most effective vehicle for the social growth of its members. These other contributions to the development of the approach have been cited Gertrude Wilson and Gladys Ryland's elaboration on the productive uses of group autonomy and decision-making, Helen Phillips' sharpening of focus on leader relation to a group purpose, a stress on the importance of the here and now, and a view of the main source of growth as residing within the member rather than the leader. William Schwartz probing more deeply into an analysis of group function and leader role and developing the concepts of mutual aid and the contractual relation between leader and group. So in the developmental approach, people are not seen as being sick or healthy, but on a scale ranging from socially functional or adequate to dysfunctional or inadequate to afunctional or optimum, continually able to move up this scale in a lifelong developmental process of self-realization. The practitioner who tries to help people who are striving for self-realization is concerned with tapping the vast unused potential that resides within all people and which is generally used only fractionally in the spheres of physical, intellectual, aesthetic, and interpersonal development, of which the last is the direct concern of social work. This view holds what we consider to be two essential features of developmental social work with groups: recognition of the human being as the main resource to be utilized, and interpersonal relationship, more specifically social role performance, as the focus of concern.
Characteristics of media themes. First is humanist. These themes respond to the question what are the workers' functions and relation with the group. So kani is unsa ang imong relasyon sa uban members o unsa ninyo pag-interact sa usag-usa. Then kung ma-remember nato tong cultural traits is kinahanglan nato ang pakikisama. So, number 2 is phenomenological. These themes concerned with the content of the group experience. It is addressed to the questions what life materials serve as focus of the approach. So, kaning number 2 is dapat kamong nga group is na may parehong interest and common goals, like mag-conduct mo programs about sa teenage mom. So, dapat inyong mga respondents sana is first teenage mom kay naman sila yung mga experienced na pud sila, then nasad sila interest, then napud sila yung goal nga gusto na fit sa inyong gusto nga ma-achieve. So, number 3, it is developmental. This theme provides the basic direction to the approach, for it answers the questions, what does the approach seek to accomplish with people in the group? So, from the root word development, so kinahanglan gyud ni siya kay para mahibalaan nato kung unsay ni develop sa usa ka grupo through sa ilang members, like ato lagi sa ilang common goals or common interest, kung unsay ilang nga achieve sa ilang mga goals. So number 4, it is based on the proposition that people attain an enhancement of their social functioning and most effectively through specific kinds of the group experiences. So there are the 3 most common functional modes in a group work practice. Ang letter A is counseling group is to i-explain sa counseling group is explain ang common life situation o common concern sa isa ka tao. Then ang ikaduha is activity group, to mag-gather like sa grupo mag-gather og activity. Then ang ikatulo is action group, gathered effects some improvement of the social environment, to improve ma-improve ang social environment sa usa ka tao. Then number 5 is the experiences that enhance people's social functioning are those in which the group has a common goals which guide the goal achieving process. Like ito na sa gingon kanina nga dapat sa grupo is na may common goal and common interest para ang inyong buhat nga program sa like atong teenage mom, inyong masulbad or makuha ninyo ang inyong gusto nga goal o gusto ninyo nga result. Number 6, the common goal may take form of a common concern of common interest or common life situation. So like sa number 5, dapat ang member sa group worker kay na sila common interest and common goals sa ilang ginabuhat nga program. Then para katapon ilang ginabuhat nga program, makuha nila sa ilang life situation. So then dapat ang member pod is kanang dili bitaw siya nga gadua-dua nga ma-appeal, dapat voluntary gid siya nga ma-appeal, or like walay hinanakit siyang nanakit siyang buot nga ma-appeal siya sa inyong grupo. So number 7, in order for the members to have maximum opportunity to achieve individual gains, the effectiveness of the group goal achieving process should the primary target for both the members and the leader. So kanay pong number 7 is dapat si leader is bahin-bahin yun niya ang trabaho sa young member para dili na pud kay siya mabugatan. Then dato sa iyang ipanghatag nga trabaho dapat fit pud to sa member nga iyang gihatagan. Troops describe the processes of group deliberation, decision, and action as follows. Deliberation and decision. The process involves obtaining proposal from the group by asking for the presenting alternative choices and stimulating thinking. So, si leader dapat mangutana siya sa young members kung unsay ang ibahaton para si member nga nang mahatag niya yung idea nga yung dapat buhaton nila sa grupo, so that si leader is maka-decide siya kung unsa gyud ang angayng buhaton. So ang action, having decided what to do, the group is now faced with the problem of how to do it. The leader clarifies group decision, asks the group to take hold of them, confirms group commitment to them, and asks the group to abide by them. So sa action, like ginasulod na nila, they faced with the problem. So nag-take risk na sila ani. So mailan na nila kung ang katoy lang mga ilang plano o mga desisyon isakto ba or dili. Kay ila namang gibuhat, so ni take risk man sila, so makuha na gito nila ang angay lang pang usbon ug angay lang pagbaguhon.
In the context of group goal achieving, the members achieve differential individual gains in social growth and contribute to other members' gains, though they are expected to always engage themselves in different activities. Thus, individual gains are maximized by leader intervention. These two are simultaneous process in this very group-oriented approach which affect the social growth of individual members. And second, engagement of each member with the group in this undertaking. These are seen as the most powerful moving forces to challenge individuals as members to perform social roles that parallel the demands of the actual task they have to perform in the society. Troop describes the four basic processes which common goals go through. First, release of feelings. Anger, fear, guilt, and affection tend to block effective social task performance if not openly expressed and unburdened, preferably in the presence of others who are in comparable situations and can thus appreciate and respond to these expressions. Second is support. This means acceptance and affection through belongingness and recognition of self-expression that is translated into achievement, which encourages the tapping of further strength resulting in gains in self-esteem. Third is reality orientations. By seeing others in similar situations, how they handle themselves, and how others see them, each member gains a clearer picture of behavior among peers. And last is self-appraisal. This involves attaining from all the foregoing a clearer perspective on one's self and others, new options for handling situations, increased ability to make judgment, and a more responsible way of handling life. The characteristic is the group becomes the instrument for the members' actions, for perceptions of each other's actions, and for the leader's perceptions of both. All of this create a base of commonly perceived behavior to which member and leader can jointly relate their perceptions, evaluations, and actions. A significant part of the work during every session is the workers and groups' assessment of the members' concerns in common based on how they describe, evaluate, and respond to their own and others' experiences in coping. The group is like a small community where members are involved in action and reaction which the worker perceives and responds to. The workers thus engage in a continuing process of perceiving what is happening, evaluating the significance of any individual or group behavior, and acting in relation to the group as a whole and to individual members. These three processes actually translate into practitioner functions. Cho points out the importance of the workers and members relating only to common perceived behavior. In other words, any one person's reading of a message may be inaccurate and therefore of little value unless it is confirmed by at least a segment of the group. Number 10. All of these processes carried out on the basis of open agreements, openly arrive and openly pursued, resulting in a mutuality of understanding and effort between the members and the worker. The developmental approach is quite unique in its emphasis on mutuality of understanding and effort between the member and the worker. This is described as a relationship in which the worker's presentation of self carries the implicit message. The developmental approach allows no space for the practitioners and members having some other hidden agenda, objectives, or plans other than what is commonly agreed upon. This means that even if individual members take initiatives to take up concerns or interests besides what have already been agreed upon, these still have to obtain group approval. Last basic characteristic. The group is essentially self-directing, within varying limits, and each member is self-directing in relation to what he wants to give to and get from the group. There is no intention to change anyone, for it is seen as each member's right to decide how to lead his life and to then benefit or suffer from the consequences. Human beings are assumed to be free, responsible, and capable of self-realization, an assumption that has no empirical data to prove or disprove it, but one that is simply accepted by social work profession. Supporting these are two dominant professional values. First is respect for the human being's dignity and capacity to fulfill his potential, and second, the individual's responsibility in relation to others in society. Given this, Troop submits that for all human beings, freedom must be respected and responsibility must be expected. This belief is what is behind the emphasis on individual and group self-direction. Self-direction is seen as the measurements to realize both group effectiveness and individual gain, making it necessary for the maximum feasible amount of self-direction to be a feature of group existence. It is for this reason that the group has to take some responsibility in relation to group purpose, such as deciding what to do in an activity or action group, or what to discuss in a counseling group and how to go about this. Furthermore, even in a group where the worker plays the role of a leader, the group makes these decisions and takes responsibility for fulfilling its commitment to these decisions. In addition to the preceding characteristics of the developmental approach, Troop offers the following specific guidelines or principles for practice which help clarify how the approach is to be used. The overriding consideration in the formation of a group is that all its prospective members share a significant common interest, concern, or life situation. If at all, very little additional information is needed about them for the purpose of group formation. So when forming a group, every little information is very important gyud kay ang purpose na ni sa kay mo siyang purpose sa group formation kay dinhi ni may bawaan dayon sa mga group workers kung ang kana ba siya nga members kay nag-share ba sila og kanang common interest, concerns, or life situation. So second is, when the group is formed, the worker comes to some agreement with the members about its purpose, function, and structure. So kay na-form naman ang group, so nag-meet na ang mga prospective members o ang group worker. So diri na din nga time dayon nga i-educate na dayon sa group worker ang mga members kung unsay purpose nganong nag-form sila sa group ug unsa ang function og structure para mahimong possible and effective ang helping process.
Operational purpose is the area where agency purpose, group purpose, and work professional purpose overlap. It answers the questions, why are the group formed or organized? Or why are we here? The worker's major contribution is in helping the group to carry out its purpose. Function. It addresses the questions, what are the group members supposed to do to carry out its purpose? Trope contains that if the worker is not clear about function, the group cannot be helped in conducting meaningful activities. Structure. It addresses the questions how is the group supposed to carry out its purpose. Trope states that the most important structural characteristics should answer the questions, where does the power for decision making reside? Group have varied instructional pattern. All authority invested the leader. The self-governing group including of elected officers or at least a chair who conduct the meeting. So it means bisan isa lang sa elected officers pwede mag-conduct og meeting. In between A and B is widely used pattern where there is no formal self-government and the practitioners serve as the group leader, but in the group proceeds on the basis of its choices and agreements.
Regardless of its purpose, function, and structure, the developmental group will go through a beginning, middle, and ending stage. Each of these stages involves specific experiences and tasks on the part of the members and the leader or practitioner. The stages in the developmental approach will be discussed by the next reporter.
Methodological principles. Stages of developmental approach. Tasks of group members and group workers. There are 3 stages of developmental approach: the beginning stage, middle stage, and ending stage. In the first table, the tasks of the group members were identified in every stages. In the group members, in the beginning stage, they become oriented in a new situation. As a member sa grupo, dapat kabalo ka kung unsa imong gisudlan ng grupo, because being in a group is an adjustment. And if dili mo ang kupang imong problems or imong exact tuyo jud ana nga group, wala kay motivation para i-pursue kung unsay ka ng goal anang grupo. Second, identify reasons for joining at the work they will be doing. Being in a group, dapat kabalo ka kung para asa o para unsa na nga group. So, the beginning stage, dapat aware ka or kabalo ka sa mga rason nimo ngano ni join ka ng group o kabalo ka sa rason sa grupo para asa na siya o unsay goal ana ang group. 3. Experience doubt, fears, or enthusiasm. Being in a group full of strangers, di malikayan sa a member sa katawo nga maka-feel og doubts kung mo successful ba, magpadayon ba, or ma-stop pa ni nga grupo. Tapos kahadlok if as a member, mabuhat ba nimo imong katungkulan, mag-provide ba nimo ang task, ma-fulfill ba nimo ang task nga gi-assign sa imo sa group worker o gisalig sa imo sa mga members. O feel excited and enthusiasm, of course, kay though na ay doubts o fear nga ma-experience labi na pag sinugdanan pa, enthusiasm or excitement sa mga possible nga mahitabo o pagbuhat sa activities, kamulo pagbuhat sa activities will give enthusiasm sa tao. Test out each other and the leader for response. In order nga ma-lessen ang doubt o fears nimo, need jud ka mabuhat og some ways to test out or para masukod kung masaligan ba ang imong mga members, og of course kung responsable sad ba ang inyong group leader mo provide og resources or answers nga cater sa inyong grupo. Next is the middle stage. The middle stage, more open expression, greater involvement by the members, greater acceptance of the value and experiences, authority, roles, and status involved, greater stability and cohesiveness, and performing function towards goal achievement. Well, sa middle stage, diri sukod ang character development sa usa ka member sa grupo. Because diyan na mo makuhaan ang openness, like acceptance, involvement, relationship, interactions, connections, and all. Diyan mo makuhaan kay diri masukod ang involvement sa usa ka member para mabuhat niya yung task sa grupo. Third is the ending stage, wherein the group shows varying degrees of task completion, group shows varying levels of satisfaction from task completion, group shows some frustration, anxiety about ending and separation from members, workers, or agency, and group feels relief and happiness at separability of ending. Taning nga stage, dili masukod ang perseverance of trust sa mga members sa pag-usa. Taning nga stage, dili na naghisgot og ending, which is naghatag og satisfaction sa mga members kay isa sila sa mga nagbuhat or isa sila sa nagbuhat og pamaagi para makumpleto ang task or goal nga ilang paningkamutan nga ma-achieve. Though na ay kind of separation anxiety, something like na ma-feel ni mo nga sayang or something na mabuwag na kay ending naman, but yet still relief of happiness kay they achieve such satisfaction nga na kompleto ang task, and of course tawat sa reality nga humanajud siya. Moving on sa next table, it talks about the leader or the worker's task in every stage. Okay. The beginning stage, they clarifies purpose, functions, and structure, establishes an agreement to proceed, supports early effort of group, facilitates climate conducive to unity cooperation, facilitates supports, and task selections. Of course, as a leader or worker anang group, ilahang responsibilidad nga iklaro kung unsa ang purpose o para asa ang group. Task or agreements nga kung unsay buhat, unsay mabuhat or unsay mga angay buhaton with the help of the members' contribution pud sa ila. Since leader man sila, of course sila ang establish sa mga agreements nga angay i-proceed sa grupo. Though they are the leader, they are also the supporter of the group. Ina-appreciate nila ang mga efforts o mga small achievements, bisan nun sa basta small development, small progress, or anything nga gi-exertan og effort sa members. They are well appreciated by the leader. And being the leader, of course, part sa ila nga i-maintain ang peace, harmony, o unity sa ilang grupo by facilitating them, evaluating, coordinating, and all. And of course, need to secure the cooperation and participation sa mga members sa grupo. Though leader sila, dili nila basta-basta lang ginahatag ang task sa usa ka member. It should be agreed by both parties, by the members and of course by the leaders. Especially pag task selection na. Ay di naman sa pwede nga mayon ang leader nga. Imo na siya. Of course, need of agreement sa band members if opinion nila, if may kaingon sila nga, kaya na siya na ng member or kaya na siya na ng members. It's a matter of group communication. In the middle stage, they guides group towards the goal. As a leader, ilang responsibilidad sila mag-guide sa grupo. Task na nila nga i-guide ang ilang members towards sa ilang goal. Clarifies tasks completed and tasks still to be done. Since they lead the group, of course, mga clarifications and guidance sa mga members nila kung saan pag-fulfill, kung saan pag-complete, or any conflicts nga ma-face sa members, labi na pa face sa members, kamulo buhat sa ilang task. And the leader is the one who clarifies, answers their queries, provides continuing support to enable group to self-directing. Since responsibilidad naman sa leader ang guiding, clarifies, those mentioned are the self-directing tasks nga ginabuhat sa leader to support the group nga padayon sila o buhat sa ilang angay buhaton. Helps group to work within time frame. Of course, apil na sa task sa leaders nga mabuhat og more like time limit, due date, na sila time frame nga gina-follow para sa time management nga dili lang magpasagad ang usa ka member og buhat sa iyang mga buhat nga walay gina-follow nga guidelines sila nga sa limits, guidelines sa mga buhaton sa mga members in order to promote discipline sa grupo. helps group assess gains and implications of approaching termination. Tabang nila assist ang mga members to gain something, labi na nga mga buta yung termination. More like realizations, katulad mga self-directing, more like preparations sa upcoming termination. In the ending stage, helps group complete its task. Helps group to evaluate the total experiences, helps group to see remaining gains and problems, helps group to have smooth ending, and helps group think of the future outside the group. All in all nga task sa leader daning nga stage is to help. Tabang sila sa lain-lain nga aspeto, ending approach, or like ginatabangan nila ng grupo makakomplete sa task, ginatabangan nila ng grupo to evaluate experiences nila, share and all. If naba sila nakatunan, naba sila kuan, they find it challenging or easy, something na ginatabangan nila ilang mga members to gain something sa along the group, though apil na sa mga kanang remaining problem nga kaya nila masulbad as hangtod nga napang grupo. Ginatabangan sa nila nga, of course, smooth ang ending, walay any complications o kanang mutual agreement ang pag-end sa group. Group think of future outside the group. Ginatabangan nila ang mga group members nila ilang within sa group. Of course, a future outside the group. Mutabang sila huna-huna sa mga possible opportunities na mabuhat sa mga group members outside na sa ilang grupo.
So the fourth specific guidelines or principles for practice, which helps clarify how the approach is to be used, is that in the developmental approach, the worker has three basic areas of operations. So we have the group goal achieving process, the interpersonal relations, and the individual self-actualization. So first, the group goal achieving process. So it stated that troop uses the term goal in the sense of a task that the group agrees to undertake for a session or series of sessions, which will be useful in achieving the long-range purpose of the group. Such goal becomes converted into the program content of the group experience during the sessions and can be in the form of counseling, activity, or action. So such program content is planned jointly by the group and the leader or the practitioners so that they have a mutually agreed path to follow. So the leader or the worker initiates and engages the group in the goal-achieving processes of deliberation, decision, and action. So in the course of which there is a need to be aware of one's own attitudes and behavior, the group's attitudes and behavior, and their reactions to each other. So the second basic areas of operation is the interpersonal relations. So in the group members' engagement with each other as they pursue their common goal, they are involved in two forms of behavior. First, we have the instrumental behavior. So these are the behaviors that are consciously directed toward common goal efforts. Because they are observable behaviors, they can be used as basis for evaluating the performance of any member. Example, in terms of contributions to the group in relations to needs. So this includes such instrumental interaction or behaviors as supporting and accepting others, accepting support and assistance from others, and opposing and restraining others, handling opposition and restraint from others, engaging with others in resolving differences through assertion, compromise, or yielding, submitting to or rejecting appointed or elected authority figures, accepting other inputs, and performing such roles as leading, following, and carrying out specific individual tasks. So next to instrumental behavior, we have the expressive behavior. So these are unintended behavior which are emotional in nature that individual members manifest in the course of performing instrumental behaviors. So they include expressions of likes and dislikes, approval and disapproval, affection, concern for others, pleasure, interest, enthusiasm, apathy, fear, insistence, criticism, guilt, hostility, and blame. So Troop points out that expressive behaviors may aid or hinder instrumental behavior. When expressive behaviors are obstructing the instrumental interaction, there is a need for the leader or the practitioner to ask the group to look at what is happening and how it is affecting its goal-achieving efforts. This helps members to become more aware of their behavior, how it is affecting each other in the group process, so that they can perform more effectively. So the third basic areas of operations is the individual self-actualization. So Troop underscores the point that the major gains in social functioning for individual group members in the developmental approach are derived primarily through the medium of the goal-achieving process. So the workers' most productive efforts are those that are invested in the group as a whole, which make for the gains in social growth which individual members achieve. For example, release, the support, reality orientation, and self-appraisal. These gains result in greater group effectiveness, vitality, satisfaction, and responsibility, which are the three criteria for determining and evaluating the performance of the group as a whole. So these are the following criteria that can be used by the leader or the worker in deciding which individual behaviors do not call for any special intervention. So first, when the behavior is not interfering with group goal achieving. So the second one, we have the when the behavior is being handled satisfactorily by the group. And lastly, we have when it is being handled by the member. So the leader or the worker will also have to determine whether the manifested problematic behavior needs special attention. So Troop considers the following as the three criteria of categories of problematic behavior. So first, those that hinder group efforts and must be handled for the good of the group. So the second one, we have those that harm other individuals. And lastly, those that create problems for the individual who initiates them.
Uses and limitations of developmental approach. The developmental approach is capable for use in the field of social work because of its adaptability to developing conditions. Schwab says that since self-direction is considered as the major means for both group effectiveness and individual gain, a visible amount of self-direction should be a feature for any group experience. However, the age and capacity of members, as well as legal or criminal constraints and agency policies may limit the exercise of group self-direction. In such situation, the leader worker will have to take more responsibility in providing direction to the group, while exerting effort in enabling the group towards increasing self-direction. In short words, the role of the leader is one of literally empowering the group or take its own life in its hands in order to carry out its own plans, although proposals are needed to facilitate the process.
Uses and limitations of developmental approach, the Santa Lucia's Mothers Group. So, the agency purpose. So, kani siya nga work group kay na-form ni siya tungod sa desire bitaw sa hospitals nga mag-provide sila mga opportunities para sa mga poor clients, families nga mag-undertake sa mga activities nga makatabang bitaw sila nga ma-improve ilahang health ug ang ilahang family life. The same client families were in the social work staff caseloads for many years, and the hospital was burdened by the continuing staggering cost of maintaining its outpatient department, which provides mostly free medical services to the poor families residing in the district. Ang health problems kay nag-exist siya tungod gid siya sa poverty, og tungod pud siya ang underlying din problems sa poverty is kanang insufficient income, kanang tungod sa unemployment or underemployment, illiteracy, malnutrition, unsanitary environment, and lack of resources, and apathy and a sense of hopelessness in relation to their situation. So, ang social work staff is nag-decide sila nga i-change nila ang helping process from one-to-one method. Ibalhin nila sa group mo ni siya nga kani siya nga group is nag-exist mo ni siyang purpose ani nga grupo. Starting on the belief that poverty was not a pathology but a condition that could be changed, and that the poor were victims of societal conditions and should be helped to overcome their poverty, the staff decided to work with its client groups in ways that would actually deal with their commonly felt concerns and problems, and in ways that would maximize use of their own resources. And according to Nelson Mandela, poverty is man-made, not natural. Naanay referrals nga nahitabo. So ang social group worker nagsit sila ang criteria nga pwede sila nga mag-refer og sa mga tao nga kanang qualified ani nga criteria. Ang ilang criteria is kanang mothers under active caseload, preferably for more than 5 years, 25 to 40 years old, unemployed, and willing to participate in weekly group sessions for 2 hours. Ang kaning agency is na sila monthly event. Then kani siya ginatawag nga food ration day. So ang mga worker kanang mamit nila ni ang mga mothers or ang mga members every month. So during sa ilahang event, mag-distribute sila mga powdered milk, flour, bulgur wheat o guban pa nga gikan sa mga donor agencies. So during sa ilang first meeting, nag-serve to us a group intake session. So naa sila kanang sa out of 76 nga mothers, 52 lang siya ang ilaha bitong nakitaan nila nga interesado nga nag-participate sa ilahang group program. So the worker explained that she would have 2 groups of 15 each, so that 22 would have to wait for their turn after a few months, since they could not all be accepted at the same time. The group agreed to hold their meetings in the social hall adjoining the hospital chapel.
Uses and limitations of developmental approach. The Wednesday group. Purpose and program. 15 mothers composed this first group. They all knew each other, so that the worker went directly to the discussion of the group program. She informed them of the agency's plan to help them improve their life conditions. She asked them to individually share their concerns and problems. The members realized that while they have varied individual needs, which they said could be met by the group, they actually had many common concerns and problems. After 2 sessions of sharing and discussion, the members agreed that it would help all of them to meet regularly to address these concerns. The group deliberated, then agreed to undertake the following activities, with the worker helping in their sequencing and identifying resources that were necessary and could be tapped. First, market bag making project hardware stores for donation of cement bags. Second, basic sewing lessons in Santa Lucia Women's Auxiliary Board for free loan of sewing machines. Third, cooking demonstrations. Nutrition Foundation of the Philippines for the nutritionist lecturers. Fourth, sanitary or health practices hospital staff. Fifth, community resources for livelihood and skills training, National Manpower, Youth Council, Department of Social Welfare and Development. The worker told the members that she would attend the sessions and would guide and help them whenever necessary. The worker emphasized the concept of self-help. Whenever the members turned to her for advice or for answers to questions she thought they could handle themselves, the workers stirred the group members into coming up with their own answers. At the outset, the group wanted to have a non-election of officers. The worker asked whether this was necessary, and they discussed the advantages and disadvantages of having a permanent set of officers for the life of the group. They finally decided on having volunteer leader for each group session. The group implemented all its planned activities within 8 months. The members, using a letter of introduction signed by the worker, were able to convince the owner of 10 hardware stores to donate their used cement bags instead of selling them cheaply to a middleman. The group used 2 sessions to learn how to make market shopping bags out of them, with a group member showing them how. After these 2 sessions, they agreed to decide to donate bags among themselves weekly and to continue the work in their houses so that even their children could be involved in the money-making venture. The donations continued and many of the mothers reported getting supplementary income out of the project, with their children selling them in the market when they are not in school. The group was able to borrow 3 sewing machines from the hospital's Women's Auxiliary Board. The latter referred them to a volunteer sewing teacher who gave them sewing lessons. The group was allowed to choose 3 members in whose houses the sewing lessons would continue. 3 subgroups of 5 members each resulted from projects that lasted for 3 months. The members continued to attend the weekly group session in the hospital premises. The sewing machines were returned promptly to the Women's Auxiliary Board at the end of the sewing lessons. The group, with letter of introduction from the worker, was able to obtain the volunteer services of 2 nutritionists from the Nutrition Foundation of the Philippines who conducted cooking demonstration during 4 sessions. The members brought their own cooking utensils for using during these demonstrations. The mother learned first how to cook plateable dishes out of their food rations. Many admitted they made a polvoron out of the powdered milk and left the other raw food items to spoil because they did not know what to do with them. Second, how to cook nutritious meals on a very small budget. During the activity sessions, the worker facilitated interactions among the members, also between the members and the volunteers. In addition, when not everyone was actually involved in a particular activity, the worker made herself available for brief counseling with individual members or small groupings of members on varied aspects of family life. The worker conducted 4 sessions on health and sanitations with a doctor as the resource person in one session and a nurse in another session. These were primarily sessions that focused on personal hygiene, cleanliness in the home and its surroundings, and practices to prevent contaminations of a sick person in the household. The family planning sessions were informative and counseling sessions were held for 5 consecutive meetings. The worker conducted all the sessions by herself except for the one session which she invited a hospital doctor to explain to the mothers, based on their expressed interest, how tubal ligation and vasectomy are performed. During the session of the family planning, the mother realized that they had many misconceptions about family planning. Rumors they have heard were clarified. Their fears and doubts were explained. They were also helped to feel more comfortable in talking about things like menstruation, menopause, and other sexually related concerns. A few were told to go to the outpatient department for consultations with a doctor. The group was able to borrow a minibus from the proprietor of the school bus services for a whole afternoon and use it to visit the national government's Social Welfare Agency branch office in Maco, Manila, where women were being trained on high-speed sewing. They were given an orientation in various skills and livelihood-oriented programs of the agency and brochures to take home in case they wanted to avail these services. There were also 2 sessions where representatives from the National Manpower Youth Council and the Philippine Business of Social Progress discussed with the group different opportunities for livelihood and employment for themselves and members of the families. The Wednesday group purpose and program was developed to help mothers address their concerns and problems with the help of the group leaders by doing programs, activities, and of course come up with resources from different agencies on all. With this, kaning mga mentioned activities were part of the agreed activities within their group, which definitely helps them to improve their skills in different aspects that could be relevant in their own households. In the market bag making, dili lang ilang kaugalingon na develop aniya, but also even their children nag-take action para mabuhat ang side activity sa ilang grupo. The sewing machines kay medyo dako gid siya kaagi. Dako siya contribute tani nga grupo, of course, kay they visited other place just to come up para makakuha lang og loans of sewing machines could be a good start to do some business or activities nga source an income gihapon. The cooking demonstrations, which nagkuha pa gid sila from the Nutrition Foundation of the Philippines nutritionist nutritionist lecturer, does not just apply sa ilang own household for their children's benefits or families nga ma-healthy sila, but also they can also provide this to help their communities and group members for mas dako og tabang if hindi mo ang capacity sa imong skills. Next is the sanitary health practices. Really very much relevant, especially sa mga mothers, since sila kasagara ang mga assigned sa household. They are the one who keeps their families cleanliness, hygienes, and any sanitary health practices nga very much beneficial sa daily living sa mga mothers. Others, community resources of livelihood skills training is a very good program to develop their skills, not just by limiting it to a specific area, ay para mas ma-improve sila o makagain pagid sila og learnings. All those activities, programs done were during sessions. During the said sessions sa group nila. So, the process of their sessions are the step-by-step development on how they will reach their goals, which is beneficial to the group members themselves and, of course, to their families.
In extension evaluation, after 5 months, the group was very pleased with what they had accomplished. An evaluation of what had actually taken place showed that the group had learned more than it expected. At the start, and except for occasional absences by some members, there were hardly any problems encountered. Sa time na achieve na ang goal sa ilahang grupo, the worker told to terminate the Wednesday group. However, the group asked for assistance para sa ilahang final activity, which is ang health center with family planning as one of its main services. So tungod ani ni agree ang worker to extend until this project was realized. So the health center was planned and organized in 3 group sessions and several home visits made by the worker, as well as office calls on the worker made by the group leaders. Ang grupo sad nga mag-persuade o usa sa mga residente sa community nga naay unoccupied space ang ilahang balay nga naay connection sa kuryente ug tubig para himuon nila kini og health center that would be open to the community from 8 to 12 o'clock every morning, 3 times a week. So para naa sila medical extension services sa ilahang health center, naghimo sila og project proposal to the medical director so that the medical resident, medical intern, and a nurse from Santa Lucia Hospital will be available for medical attention. The worker decided to terminate its service to the group after 8 months when the health center was already operational. The group's last 3 hours ended with merienda program where the mothers receive individual certificate of attendance. So during sa session, na sila final evaluation of their work and inventory not only kung unsa ang na-accomplish, which is almost all, but apil sad ang wala nila na-accomplish, which is usahay barangay dili maopen ang health center imbis ikatulo sa isa ka semana, ikaduha or ika-isa na lang, and also ang mga free medicines is dili permanente ma-provide sa hospital. Also, na-evaluate po nila ang ilang strengths and weaknesses which some were not active on health center project. Some mothers failed to volunteer their time for taking charge of the health center kay lagi busy po sila to take care of their family. The worker discussed the implication of lack of operation in the groups, particularly for the health center, which they put up through their own efforts and which was already benefiting the entire community. Pointers were given on how to maintain their gains. 5 leaders had emerged from the group after 8 months. The worker agreed to hold weekly follow-up sessions with them in the hospital for at least 1 month. She also announced to the rest of them were all welcome to see her whenever they needed to do so.
Conclusion. In order for the members to have maximum opportunity to achieve individual gains, the effectiveness of the group goal achieving process be the primary target for both the members and the leader. The members and the workers should give careful attention to the event and process occurring in the group as it pursues its common goal, since on this will depend the achievement of the members' gain.